What's up and welcome back to Talk Nutrition. Today I wanted to share a client interview with you where we discussed Samantha's journey from going from spinning her wheels, right, trying all the diets and struggling with weight loss and keeping it off, to then finally through eating more, which you'll learn about, losing the weight, right, keeping it off and really creating a new healthy lifestyle. Mindset is in a way better spot. Her training has been awesome. She's the lowest weight she's been in ages and she's still killing it. We coached together for a long time and it's really cool to see people really change their lives, be the example for their family, and I cannot wait to share this one with you. So let's dive in. I think it's always cool, right, to talk about nutrition and, our methods and those kind of things. But hearing it from the person who actually went through their transformation is better than anything, because you get to hear it from them, the things they struggle with, the things they struggle with in the past, but also during the process. And it's proof that you too can overcome your obstacles. You too can reach your goals. And I think Samantha is a great example of that. I will say this too, she's a really hard worker, so she deserved it, of course. And she put in all that work and now she gets to enjoy the benefits, right? So enjoy. Make sure to check out the link in our show notes. I want to really just make sure that you also are aware of our free Facebook group, right? We have a lot of free resources in there, and I think it's going to be a great space for you to ask any questions. So if you want to join us, go ahead, click that link in the show notes. And without further ado, let's get into the episode.
So I was just saying the actual mental shift, I think, was like a huge deal for me. And I think listening to your podcast when I first started with you was like huge. I was an athlete. I was an athlete in high school and I played field hockey in college. And I tell my son now, it's so funny because he's 9 years old and in baseball and he plays soccer, like he does sports all year round. And I was just never informed about nutrition or like lifting weights or anything. Like my basis for like being a good athlete back then, which wasn't that long ago, I'm only 34, was, I ran a lot, like I did a lot of running and I went to practice. And I mean, you kind of knew like good food and bad food, right? Like, and that was it, and if you were getting like kind of chubby, people were like, you need to lose weight. And it was just crazy. So yeah, I have my son, we got him like some small dumbbells and he likes working out with us now, and it's a huge thing. And we talk about like food that fuels you, like you're fueling your body, right? Like I didn't learn that until a year ago with you. It's so crazy.
That's super cool to hear though. Like when you get that, just that good foundation of like healthy habits, like even if it's like simple stuff, right? Hey, like lift some weights and eat some protein, and it's so you should already have that. Like I also didn't have that, right? So I kind of grew up being like super skinny, like the skinny kid, and
Yeah.
then I just blew up from like 14 to 18, basically, just like unhealthy food, and not training. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I remember like getting any like baseline education on like how to eat healthy, not even like school or something, or right. I mean, I'm also 34, so we're like the same age, so it's it's cool to now actually be able to give that to your son, to be that example, right?
Yeah, it really is. And I think, I mean, I went through a lot of like injury and, I had a lot of, I don't know, I would say like eating disorder, but like really screwed up eating mentality that he doesn't have to go through now, right? Like we talk about like what actually is fueling your body. And, we're not scared of carbohydrates and everything now, which is so great. And, he has a lot of energy as is, but he stays fueled for his baseball games and for his day, and he doesn't feel lethargic or whatever. And he still has, candy and, soft drinks once in a while, but he feels good, and that's a good thing. And he doesn't, even at his age, like he's come home from school saying stuff like, "Oh, well, I'm actually like I feel like I'm fat." And I'm like, "Where are you getting that from? Like that's not no. That's not what we're doing here." So, yeah, it's crazy the diet culture that's around, and trying to shift that mentality is huge. And it's huge for him just to be in an environment where my husband and I do it now, right? Like he's seen all the progress that I've made with you and he's starting that too. So it's great.
That's awesome. I think it's good. It's always like, I guess, a tricky subject, around kids and like nutrition, and then like I know a lot of people kind of like try to hide maybe the fact that they're tracking or that they're trying to lose weight even, but which I do get. But I think like just the habits, right? The foundation that we just talked about, like actually just teaching those principles. I mean, that's something like everyone can benefit off of. So when it comes to for
Yeah,
you,
totally. And
oh, go ahead, sorry. There's a bit of a delay, so
no, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I was just gonna say with my like growing up, there was a lot like my parents like in this diet culture and trying different things. So to have that as a different, structure now is really cool.
absolutely. Because back then, so you mentioned, right, you were an athlete, you were doing a lot of sports. Um, at what point do you feel like you started kind of gaining some weight?
Yeah, so I think probably when I went to college, I started gaining more weight. So just because I didn't know, and then you're off on your own and you can do whatever you want, right? But again, I was playing field hockey in college. I was a college athlete. And I remember once like my coach saying that I needed to like she wanted me to meet with a like the college nutritionist, but it just never happened. And our practices were always practices. We never lifted weights. We were never told to go do anything in the gym. Um, so I did start then, and then at the same time, I was having a lot of pain, and I was finally diagnosed with endometriosis. And my pain tolerance, I guess, was probably not very, very good. I had quite a bit of pain, and it would progress over like a 5-year period. So between not really knowing what healthy habits are and then being in pain and then not being able to move as much and then you feel bad about yourself, like it just kind of did this like 5-year cycle where like I'd gain a lot of weight and then I'd feel better because I'd have like a small surgery to kind of help, and then I'd kind of start over and I'd lose a little bit of weight. So that's what happened this before I started with you last year. I actually had a hysterectomy, which helps my pain entirely. So it's not something that's going to keep cycling. And I lost some weight on my own. I did a lot of like working out and kind of old things that I remembered. I did start lifting weights on my own, and I tried my own nutrition, kind of like an intuitive eating sort of thing. I got to a certain point where I lost about 20 pounds, I think, and decided like I needed some help. I was just kind of stuck there. So I tried what was already available in this like fitness program that I was doing, which was very generic and just not broken down for people individually. So I gave it a shot though, and it was a yo-yo, like the same 10 pounds over and over again. Um, and then one of somebody locally here that I know was posting that they were using you. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try it. You had like a free call that I listened in on. And yeah, like I said, it was a huge like when you were presenting that information, I was just kind of shocked at what I didn't know and thought like, you know what, nothing else has worked. Let me just jump in. And that mentality shift and kind of just like going all in was just huge. And it's been lasting. Not only have I lost weight, but I'm stronger now and I feel so much better. And I've like kept it off. Like my maintenance is like no problem. I'm living life normally. It's so crazy.
That's great. Like that's ultimately where you want to be, right? Just kind of getting all the dieting out the way, being there, just kind of knowing I can maintain that. Hey, I want to do a muscle gain. I know it, muscle gain phase. I know how to do that. I want to do a
Yeah.
fat loss phase. Like I know what to do now, and maintaining
Yeah.
it, of course, is huge.
Yeah. And maintaining is so nice. Like I don't remember a time where I was ever just like maintaining and not worrying about gaining or losing or whatever. And it's funny because after a little while in maintenance, right, you're kind of like, you tell us to like not track so often. And it is like my body, not only do I know what foods my body typically likes now, which is great, but if I do go out or something, I don't actually like overindulge, and not because I don't want it or because I'm thinking about it a lot, but my body's like, I'm good, like I've had enough. So it's kind of incredible. You don't eat until you're super stuffed full. Your body's like, I'm good, you know? It's taught itself now, which is great.
Definitely. I do also remember a time though where like eating more was like the hard part, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So when I was doing that nutrition sort of program in uh the fitness program that I was doing, they had, I guess I was probably eating between like 1,200 and 1,400 calories while I was doing, like, I really wanted to be strong and do like lift a lot of weights and be really active. And again, before I met you, I had no idea that I wasn't fueling enough. And I think you bumped me up to, when I first started with you, I think it was maybe we did 1,800 calories first, and then we ended up going to 2,000. And it was
I know.
so hard to eat that much food. And I absolutely was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing now. This is crazy. But I like, if I hadn't done it, I wouldn't have believed it because I lost weight. I was eating more and I lost weight like right out the gate. It was so crazy. If it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have believed it.
Yeah. That's the hard part, to be honest with you. Like as a coach, I swear, like that's way harder than putting someone in a deficit. It's like, hey, you come to me, you want to lose weight, eat more.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Like you always hear the opposite. And of course, at some point we had to lower again to lose more weight. But like the first thing we did, I remember it was 17 or 18, I think. I want to say 18. And then we hung around there for a little bit, and then we went 2000 after a while. You were still losing. But that's when we were like, hey, like let's actually stay there because you are losing weight. Let's
Yeah.
also work on like the habits, just getting good routines in, a lot of mindset work also back then. And then we were at a spot where we were like, hey, we can actually push that a little further. And then I remember we did go a little bit lower for a little bit, and then a long maintenance phase, right?
Yeah. A long maintenance phase in like 2,300 calories, though. Like
Yeah.
it was so much food still.
And that was, I want to say 3 or 4 months, I think, right?
Yes. Actually, it might have been five total.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I strictly like listening to you and figuring out. I love that I can determine like during what part of the year that I'm doing the diet because it makes sense. I mean, my birthday and my son's birthday are in October. We have a lot of family stuff in October, and then there's just holiday stuff, November, December, and those are just off limits usually for me. Like I know that I can't fit a lot in, so I just don't.
It's
Yeah, so I
also
think it
like
was like
just,
5 months.
yeah, I think so too, because I remember it was very long, and it was like, it just makes most sense because first of all, it's just beneficial to even just be able to do maintenance, and to fuel enough and just kind of, not lose weight or gain, just kind of stay stable.
Yeah.
But we also hadn't done it yet. So you came to me in a deficit. We brought you up, but it was just less of a deficit, really. But we hadn't really done maintenance. So, like, the best thing to do was go there because, I mean, before that, you never kind of did maintenance, right?
No, never was in a place where I felt like I wasn't trying to get somewhere.
Yeah. How was that for you? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like, I mean, I currently have clients who are just getting into that phase and it's difficult. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was kind of it was a foreign concept for sure. And I guess I wasn't really sure if it would work or not. I think it's like it's really a scary thing, right? You've just done all this work, and typically if history were to repeat itself, I would gain those, that weight that I just lost again. And I think it was more scary than anything. And I really just stuck to the macros that I was doing. And again, like the mindset stuff was huge. I didn't feel like I tried to talk myself out of feeling guilty if I like had days where I went out to eat because one day is not going to ruin everything, right? And I decided that, I wasn't in like a bulking phase, but I was going to try to lift heavy and put my put my focus like there and just follow like the guidelines that you set and just trust the process. And I think that was really helpful. I really do think like mindset was just a huge thing for me, which I never considered before either. Nobody really talks about it, but you do. Like there's so much guilt and like bad feelings towards eating a certain way or doing certain things or even like considering things like cheat days, right? When it's really like it's not. You're living your life and that's okay. You'll do better tomorrow. You'll get back on track. It's not a big deal. But it is. I mean, there's so many years where I was like, if I went out to eat, then I was like, I need to run like 3 extra miles today. And we know that I know now that does nothing, like except make me feel terrible. So
Yeah, it's that guilt. It's like feeling like you have to compensate or almost like earn the calories, you know. Uh,
yeah.
and those concepts, I mean, you still see them everywhere, right? We've seen this. I mean, I've always seen those kind of things going around, you know, friends, family, just, you know, people you meet. Even when you start talking about just like eating healthy, and when I say like, hey, I'm a nutrition coach, right? People almost automatically assume it's about dieting and being on a strict plan and all these supplements and all that stuff and all the cardio. But it's like I don't know where those misconceptions really come from. I guess maybe misinformation or maybe not fully understanding, or I don't really know, to be honest with you. They've been around forever. But it's kind of crazy to still see so much going around to where we also know by now kind of like what to do instead, what does work, you know? But it's not common like knowledge yet, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think there's still a lot of people that would prefer something quicker, like this is work, it is work and it is between either the mental stuff or physically like actually tracking things or doing your steps every day. Like it's work. And I've talked to like family and friends have obviously noticed that I've done a lot of different things and that I'm doing so much better. And we've showed them your free material and your calculators and stuff. So they've been looking at it and they'll track their macros now and they lose weight like right out the gate, right? Just by eating the right amounts of food based on what your material says. And there's still part of them that like when something easier comes up, they're like, well, let me go do that, right? Like somebody goes through like a fasting thing or like a cleanse and they're like, let's do that. And I'm like, that's terrible. That's a terrible idea. Like I think there's a lot of people that life's really busy. They're just looking for quicker things, which I get, but I mean, this is totally paid off and it's not as much work as it seems, I don't think.
No, I mean, it is work. I do know, like, especially the tracking, once you've never, like, if you've never done it before, and then you're getting into it, that's a huge learning curve. Changing your habits, like, that's difficult. And getting into, like, social settings, and not even just that, like, even just, like, failing, but, like, failing well, like, learning from those, like, that is one of the hardest parts, too, because that will happen. It's not like if, it's like when, you know, and that's how will you respond then, right?
Yeah, that actually might be like a huge thing too, just for a lot of people. Failing in general in life, anything is hard for a lot of people. And to fail well and then just like pick yourself back up and keep going, that can be tough for people.
And to your point as well, I think people are either looking for something quicker and easier, faster, right? I want to lose the weight, you know, ASAP. It's either that or it needs to be like this more extreme thing. Because if you think about it, like the changes we've made, they've created a lot of results, but they weren't like very extreme or huge changes. It was all gradual, step by step. Um, to where I've also seen people, they were doing great. And this is not a client of mine, but someone I know, they were doing really well. They were tracking and right, taking their time. And then I heard about 75 hard, which I'm not going to bash, right? It's just something that I think is pretty extreme, but okay. And then they went for that and they completely fell off because it was so much and it got overwhelming. So I feel like
Mhm.
it's either that it's like the quick fixes and it needs to be as easy as possible, or it's not. like extreme enough yet, sometimes.
Yeah, and I can relate to that. I mean, I think as a personality type, I think I'm pretty extreme in that sense. And if there was even a workout program or something that I was doing and it seemed tough, like I would do it. I would do it on the days they said to do it, and I would do all of it, and I would do the bonus things and, do a couple runs afterward. Like it was anything that I thought would get me there quicker, and I would be, I don't know, like tougher for doing it that way. When now I'm like, I still do those workout programs because I think they're great and I can still build muscle, but learning so much from you, knowing that rest days are also important and, listening to your body and being able to push yourself to failure is a good thing, like all of those things actually help you and they actually help you go faster. So, yeah, I think it's just misconceptions that harder and is better.
So kind of going back to like your weight loss transformation, because we did that initial cut, then a long maintenance phase. But I mean, by now we've been coaching for like more than a year. Tell me a little bit more about this year. So it's July right now. Like, how was like the first half of your 2024?
Yeah, so I wanted to start a cut in January, my second cut. And because I originally, like before I joined with you, I was like 130 pounds, seemed really reasonable, and I'd been there before. I got to 130 after the first cut, like relatively quickly, and thought like, hey, there's probably more to be done here, You're never like, you get to the point and then you're like, what do I want to do next? So, I wanted to start it in January. I ended up having a kidney stone, which was new for me. So I had to deal with that first, but then got on the cut afterward. It was a little bit slower in terms of losing weight, like immediately. But I think because I had been in a maintenance, right? And I had actually like leveled myself out really well. Um, so I did end up getting, I think I did a 15-week cut, and I ended up getting down to 120. And now I'm in week 5, I believe, of reverse diet, and I'm still at 120. So it's been going really well. It was just different. It was different.
Yeah,
I'm glad in that respect that I was working with you then and had you to kind of lean on, because I think it was really hard for me not to shift back into that mindset of like, oh my God, this isn't working. I need to be more intense. I need to do all of these more intense things. And it's like, I didn't. I just needed to give it a minute,
yeah, definitely. So you're currently at a spot where you've lost a whole lot of weight. You're going back to maintenance, like you're almost there basically. What do you think the rest of the year is going to look like?
Yeah, so typically I was originally planning on just doing maintenance. And I ended up deciding to do like a mini cut instead. So a mini cut for just like a portion of October into November. Just to kind of see. I actually don't think I have too much like fat loss left. I'm only 4'11". I'm kind of small. So I don't have a lot left. I want to see what a mini cut will do. And I'm willing to put in, those 5 or 6 weeks to do that. And then have a pretty nice maintenance after that. So
That's nice. And the cool part is
it'll
too,
be interesting. I haven't done a mini cut yet. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. I think I like mini cuts, especially if you're at where you're currently at, where hey, you want to lose a little bit, but it doesn't have to be that much, 6 to 8 weeks or something, kind of go a little bit more aggressive, go back to maintenance. Like you don't have to do a super long reverse diet. It's a great thing to do. Absolutely.
yeah, my
Cool.
main goal, I think, is really just I want to be I mean, I'm obviously looking to be leaner. I feel like being a former athlete, I'd love to get back to that place. But I really with lifting and everything now, I love just feeling strong and capable and improving my bone density as I get older, and just being able to keep that up is, I think, a really big goal for me. So just a little bit more weight loss and then just focus on my muscle gains and my strength, you know?
Love that. It's cool too because you're going to be able to do that by yourself from now, right? And
Hmm.
you actually have the tools in place. And that's like my goal for you guys. It's like, yes, I'm helping you lose the weight and build the muscle and those kind of things, but ultimately, like we know that no one's going to have a coach forever. So I want you to be able to do this by yourself too. So that is not like another thing where you've done this and then we got results, but then I still don't know what to do afterwards.
Yeah. And I do think, I really do think that, and again, I'm going to bring it back to mindset, is that I really think I've done a lot of work throughout this last year, whether it's like listening to new things or listening to you or listening to the people that you also like tell us that you listen to, right? Like your mentor and like all these things. So hearing all of these messages and then even going back just to hear them again, it's gonna keep sticking with me to make sure that I don't fall into those bad habits that I used to have. And I honestly, I'm almost not even afraid that that's gonna happen anymore. I feel so much better about it, and it really does. And it's not, these lessons learned are being learned by me and my whole family now. So it's just such an easier process.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you would want to share?
I would say I know, like, so now again with my family seeing all this, like I have at least 3 or 4 family members that are like looking into tracking and doing these things, and they're, I push Johan's name everywhere. But I really do. I know sometimes people are like, I don't need a coach. I can do this on my own. And I really think pulling the trigger and working with you for the amount of time that I have has been so incredibly beneficial to me. There's just times in life where I think you just need to be able to hear it from somebody else, right? So that you're not doing all of this hard work on your own in that moment where it's hard. And that was huge for me. It's just, I mean, it was crazy because money was tight, right? Like we have a kid and a life and there's so many things happening, but I wouldn't trade any of it. Like it was 100% worth it. And I know in that phase of my life, I needed to put my faith in you and I needed to have you there to like back me up with this stuff. It was, and it's funny now because I think in my check-ins, like my last check-in, I was like, should I do this? I think this is what you're gonna say, but like, and I needed that. I needed it. Um, it doesn't always seem like I like to be that person that does things on my own and I can do it myself. And it's just one of those things where it's so beneficial. And you're right, you teach us these life lessons forever. I have it now for good, and that's amazing. I don't know. I think it was so worth it. And I can't thank you enough. This has just been incredible. This last year and a half is just life changing, literally.